Hi, everyone. Today, we're honored to be joined by a true standout in Pace Athletics history, Jeane Drury'. As 2015 graduate, Jeannie excelled in not one, but two sports during her time at Pace, leaving an incredible mark on both softball and basketball programs. On the softball field, she ranks among top in school history in nearly every major category. You can go down the list: home runs, RBIs, batting average, just to name a few. She earned multiple All NE10 honors and helped the Setters to their ever NCAA tournament appearance in 2015. In addition to her accomplishments in softball, Jeannie also made significant contributions to the basketball court, appearing in 52 games over her career. Now a 2024 inductee into the Pace Athletics Hall of Fame. We're excited to reflect on her remarkable journey and hear what's next. Jeannie, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited.
Of course, yeah. So let's kick things off. You played softball and basketball during your time at Pace. What was your biggest challenge in balancing the two sports, and how did they both shape you as an athlete?
Yeah, so I think time management is something that I learned from being able to do that, and was able to bring it into the workforce after college. So I think that like it was definitely a big challenge. I was playing fall ball for softball. Then I would go into straight into basketball season, into the regular season, and then would switch right back over to softball whenever spring break started. So it was definitely a challenge of like keeping on top of that as well as my schoolwork, which was really most important, being able to set myself up for the future. So, but I think it taught me a lot about time management and being able to take care of my schoolwork on top of doing well in two sports.
That's amazing. And I know that that's something that can definitely carry over into the professional world as well. I'm sure it was just nonstop athletics, though, right? Wasn't it crazy in terms of
It
that?
was. It was. It was definitely nonstop. But I wouldn't trade it for anything. Going into my freshman year, I had just played softball my freshman year, and I had asked coach when I was recruited, like, is there a possibility for me to play both sports? She said, let's see how your grades are first year, and then we could go from there. And luckily, there was an opportunity on the basketball team my sophomore year, so ended up playing both sports. But it was really my dream growing up. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play two sports in college. So just grateful that I had the opportunity to do that.
That's amazing. And honestly, you spoke honest like throughout your time at Pace. If you were to look back at a time, what is your favorite moment or memory, either with softball or basketball? Was it making that leap to join the basketball team during your sophomore year, or was it something else?
Yeah, I remember that day like it was yesterday. Like coach called me in to meet with a recruit. And after I met with the recruit, it was right before school was starting. They called me into one of the conference rooms, and the basketball coach came in, Coach Carey, and asked if I wanted to play. And I remember that day like it was yesterday because, again, it was a dream that I had ever since really middle school. Like, I wanted to play two sports in college, not knowing that I'd be able to be successful and do it. But that was always my dream. So, yeah, I would say like that's one of my favorite memories. Another one would just be all of the bus rides with my teammates, and the people that I met through playing either sport. I'm still friends with some of them today, and it just was really a lot of fun. I used to say when I got into the workforce, I would always say like, "Oh, can I go back to college just to play softball or basketball, not to do the whole school thing again?" But I just that time as an athlete, regardless of which sport, and being with my teammates, those were some of the best memories.
That's amazing. And more focusing into both of these sports, I first want to begin with softball. We mentioned a little bit in your introduction that you rank in the top 10 in many categories in Pace softball history. Like I said, home runs, RBIs, batting average. Which of these accomplishments are you most proud of, and why? Like how does it, show a sense of pride?
Yeah, I would probably say batting average. Um, I always had this work ethic of trying to be the first one there and the last one to leave for practice. I used to be told by an assistant coach that why are you overworking yourself? You can't be perfect. But I had this goal in my mind to strive to be as close to perfect as possible. And I think like different ways of getting on base kind of showed that. So I would say my batting average is something that I'm probably most proud of.
Especially being perfect in a sport like softball. I give you so much credit because I think if I was standing in the batter's box, I don't know. Some of these
It's
pitchers,
impossible.
especially, yeah,
Can't be
especially
perfect.
nowadays. So no, that's amazing. And you earned also multiple all NE10 selections over your career. How did those recognitions, not only with the pace record book, but you're also being recognized from the conference, how did that impact your confidence and your approach to the game?
Yeah, I think it impacted my confidence a lot. Like showing that that hard work was really paying off. And not only was it paying off like to help the team win, but others were noticing it as well. So, I think that that overall, like the other recognitions, definitely helped get me to a spot of being very confident in my abilities, and then going out there every day and just playing the game I love.
Of course. And honestly, your confidence not only helped you out with conference play, but in 2015, you were one of the key pieces that led Pace to its first ever NCAA tournament appearance. So, how did it feel to be part of that historic team? And what did you think really contributed to that success as a whole?
So, that was my senior year, and right before the season started, we had a team meeting with everyone. So myself and the three other seniors, Kate, Hannah, and Natalie, we all called a meeting with every single person on the team, and we basically said we have a lot of talent and we could go really far this year, but we need to come together as a team, even though some of us just met each other. And we need to like do some team bonding stuff. And I think that really helped us gel as a team and work together and realize that we had a common goal of going as far as we could. And to be able to make it to regionals for the first time in softball, pace softball history, like that was one of the coolest feelings to be a part of. I remember being on the bus going to our first game, and like everyone was just so excited to be there. And I think that that overall was just like such a cool feeling to be a part of that history.
Of course. And you mentioned a lot of the players you never really met before, but you made the meeting. How did that chemistry build throughout the season to then finally, you're all going to the NCAA East Regionals?
Yeah, I think it was just different like little bonding things that we did. Like the seniors, all four of us really made sure that we were trying to include everyone and make it an inclusive team. So any events that were going on, we're like, hey, everyone, we're going here. Like, who wants to come? And it wasn't forced, but a lot of people ended up going, and that's how we really got to know each other and connected. And I think on our spring break trip, always like everyone connects on your spring break trip because you're all hanging out together for a week. So that really helped us bond a lot too.
Moving into the East Regional, you like we said, incredible NE10 recognitions and stats during your senior season. But no matter what, it definitely leads to some nerves going into a tournament like that. How are you able to stay calm, cool, and collected during those games?
Yeah, I think it's like reminding yourself and your teammates of like the ability that we have, and the ability that got us to this point. And just for me, it was reminding myself like stay in your routine. Softball is a very superstitious sport, so I had my superstitions, and staying within those, to keep my nerves at a minimum.
Of course. Would you mind sharing some of your superstitions or game
I
day
knew
rituals?
exactly that you were going to ask that next.
I have to know now.
You do. So this was a running joke since my freshman year. Underneath my game socks, I'm a big Batman fan, and I actually wore Batman socks that have capes on the back of them. So underneath my game socks were Batman socks that had capes on the back. and I had like two or three pairs, but always like one of the pairs of socks I played better in. So I made sure those got washed every single day. Um, but that was just part of it. Before every game, I would go down and write the initials of my grandmother in the dirt. And then do the sign of a cross, and then I was ready to go and I was ready to play. So those are just a couple of the little things, but the Batman socks were a running joke, and coach used to ask me if I was wearing them. So.
I mean that truly is made. Every athlete has their superstitions as well. So I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, me personally, I played lacrosse and I couldn't go into a game. I'm very Irish, so I had to go with my clovers on my cleats. So
There you go. Yeah.
I did get a couple people making fun of me, especially the Italians, but you know.
That's okay. I'm Italian and Irish. I get it.
Okay, yeah, I love it. Okay, so I love all the information about the softball, but two sport athlete, it doesn't just stop there. So I wanted to move a little bit over to basketball as well. You contributed to on the basketball court in addition to your standout softball career. And what we know you joined during your sophomore year. How did the experience in basketball complement or enhance that softball performance, especially because you went one season without it? You didn't get to play your freshman year, but now sophomore season on, you have now two sport athlete.
Yeah. So I think that like because it was always a dream come true for me to play two sports in college, like I was gonna take that as far as I could. And I think it really helped a lot with like the conditioning aspect of all of it. Like I stayed in shape and I was in season the entire time I was at school. Whether it was fall ball, basketball, or softball springtime. So I was always in season. I was constantly going. And I think that just really helped with like my mindset of like my drive and determination to be the very best that I can be at everything that I try. And so like just keeping up with all of that just helped me keep going.
And asking a little bit about it, like the schedule has to be crazy. How did you be able to do all of that? Because even just thinking about it, I can't imagine like going fall ball to basketball to, spring season. And then also, yeah, managing schoolwork as well. Like it's definitely overload, but you seem like you stayed calm and got everything done perfectly.
Yeah, and like candidly, Jack, I never actually like I didn't go out in college. I didn't drink at all. I didn't go out. Like occasionally I would go to one of the parties and then I'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna go back to my dorm now." So like I wasn't really like big into that scene. So like I stayed in my dorm room and I did my homework when I needed to and I hung out with my friends when I had the time to. But I think my biggest focus for me was like I'm living my dream right now. So in order to continue doing that and continue being able to play two sports, because it is a challenge, I had to make sure that all of that stuff was taken care of for me before I went and did the hangout stuff.
Of course. And it's so nice to hear that was everything that you dreamed for. I know, basketball, you picked it up later. If we were going the basketball route, I know obviously the NCAAs for softball is without a doubt one of the most memorable things. But in terms of basketball, is there anything that particularly sticks out to you in terms of your time with the basketball team?
Yeah, I would say so. We were playing Bentley University, and they were the number one team in the nation at the time. And I made a buzzer beater at halftime that ended up being on SportsCenter top 10 that night. So that was kind of cool. But whenever someone asks like, "Oh, like, what's your fun fact?" If I sometimes I say I can juggle, and then other times I mention that I've been on Sports Center top 10. So I would say that's honestly one of my best memories from basketball. It was a cool feeling and not knowing I would actually be on Sports Center that night and then finally turning on the TV and getting all these texts like, "Hey, you were just on." That was a really cool experience.
That's actually, I mean, if I were you, I'd be bragging about it all the time.
I
I
try not
would.
to do that, Jack. I try not to brag.
It's true. I'm just saying, I'd be like, I was on Sports Center, not.
Yeah,
That's amazing. I know Bentley is also like one of the rivals, year in and
yeah,
year out with any sport, not even just basketball.
exactly.
Um, but yeah, moving on. I promise I'm almost done.
You're good.
Uh, I actually wanted to ask you a question of maybe for future athletes that they really do want to be able to play two sports, but it definitely is difficult. What advice would you give to current and maybe future dual sport athletes at pace who are looking to follow into your footsteps and go down the road that you took?
Yeah, I would say one, like be confident in who you are, and if you think that you can really accomplish staying on top of your schoolwork as well as two sports, but work hard. Like it took a lot of hard work to be able to do both. And the determination because I was very determined to be able to continue to play both sports. So I would say like determined. Um, I think most importantly though, for like any advice, I always say like make sure you're doing what you love. And that can be in sports, in life, in work, whatever it might end up being. Because if you love what you're doing, you're going to make the time and you're going to have the dedication and you're going to put in the work for it. But if you're not loving what you're doing anymore, then like, what's the point? So most importantly, like, love what you're doing.
Awesome words said. And a little bit about you afterwards. How has your time at Pace, being the dual sport athlete that you were, those lessons that you learned through athletics, how did they shape you in your post college life and personal life? Because I know for a fact you mentioned a little bit before, it definitely helped you with time management and stuff like that. So how did it shape you into future endeavors?
Yeah, I mean, time management is just the start of it, but working hard. So, like when I started here at the Rays, I was an inside sales rep. And really, what the point of an inside sales program is to soak up everything sales related and see how much you can learn and grow. But really to get yourself into that next step, which would be a full-time sales role. And I think like the grind that I had coming in was all due to sports growing up, and just sports growing up through college and everything. I would say that's probably like the biggest thing is like the grind and like knowing that it's sports are a grind and work can be a grind too. And taking that into the workplace and continuing to grow and being open to learn. I never thought I would be in sales and here I am now. So, being open to grow.
Well, honestly, it's so inspiring to hear that you not only went into a career with sports as well after graduating as well, because honestly, that's the same type of career that I'm trying to go into. I'm still in my last year of pace, but me personally, for someone to stick with sports throughout college and then go on to work with the Rays right after it really is super inspiring to hear your story and talk about it. But yeah, I think that's all I got. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk with you today. And honestly, your journey as a two sport athlete, your incredible achievements, both on the field and the court, it really is you left an undeniable legacy at Pace. So I just wanted to congratulate you again and best of luck moving forward.
Thanks, Jack. I really appreciate it.